Michelle Williams, and I live near Palm Springs, California. And oh, my heartbeat just went up. Anyways, so I work in a STEM field. I create apps for inspectors to go into the field, and they collect data, and it goes into the cloud, and we analyze it. So for some of you who would know, GIS is what I do. I was a senior analyst before I had an accident, May 2022. After my car accident, I had a concussion. And the doctors were no help because I don't think concussions are really known as well as the doc. I was hoping, you know, I put my faith into the doctors because they're the professionals. I didn't get what I needed. They said you might have a concussion, and it'll take you 6 months to recover. None of that was true. So the car accident was in 2022. I'm just looking at my notes. What does that mean? So I had to go out and do some research myself, as most of you probably have, you know, if you have an issue or an illness or something like that. What I found out is in your brain, you have several layers of it's kind of like Jello, and they're all different densities of Jello. And when you have a concussion and you shake that, it all just kind of moves at different rates. And there's these little spaghetti tubes. I'm going to tell you how I realize what it is. There's these little spaghetti tubes that go from the back of your neck all the way through your brain and things like that. There are little holes in these spaghetti tubes that lets data in and out. When you have a concussion, those noodles stretch and all those circles become ovals. And now you've got too much data going in and out because God made you the way he made you. And when stuff gets messed up, it's just not the same. So what happens is all those learned emotions or learned experiences get disconnected. I couldn't remember how to, which button on my husband's car meant lock the door. So I left his door unlocked several times because in my mind, I knew I felt exactly the same. And anybody with a concussion, they say, hey, coach, put me back in. It's because they don't know. I noticed that this is a big deal when I was mountain biking. So my son and I mountain bike in the back hills. And if you know anything about mountain biking, there's those ruts down the dirt hills. And as a newbie, you're learning how not to go into those ruts by saying, I want to be over here. Well, after my concussion, we went through the back hills, which I normally do anyways. And I couldn't switch. I knew I needed to be over here, but I couldn't get out of don't go here. And that's kind of, I try to tell you that just because most people don't know the inside of what a concussion feels like or any of that. And your kids won't tell you because they're fine, you know. And I try to tell people because they need to ask their kids the right questions if they have a concussion. So I started patching. There's a lot that was broken in my head. I could no longer do my STEM work. At work, I got taken away from being client facing because I talked in circles and I couldn't get out of it. I had no linear thoughts whatsoever. So I started patching. I'm going to get my notes out because I have dates. Started patching on September 24th with the X39. I started as of the middle of October, so about 3 weeks. I started waking up about 4:30 in the morning, fully rested and ready to rule the world. By about 4 weeks after, I started doing X39 and X49. Still waking up early, and I started singing. Now, let me tell you how important that is to my life, because before my concussion, I sang all the time. I'd hum. And I remember one time my husband asked me, he says, did you know you hum all the time? And I had no idea, and I started thinking about it. And then after my concussion, I did not hum. And I think it's because there was dread there, and I wasn't happy. I have friends that are patching, and they kept saying, hey, you should try this. You should try this. So I came to a couple of these type of meetings, I watched some of the podcast on concussions, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is really cool. I probably really want to try this." And so I started it. Um, it was amazing. December 1st, because of Black Friday, I started doing the energy patches on top of my X39, X49. My husband and I have a photography business, and we photograph Santa. And I have a note here that says, we were doing a 4-hour event, and I always get tired when we do those. And I usually sit behind the table and print things out. I was actually at the camera, and I'm going back and forth, just excited. And I had energy, and I didn't realize it till later that evening. And I go, ooh, that felt like I did 3 years ago, because I would go up and down stairs doing these events, and it was amazing. So there is all of that. As of January, I have linear thoughts. I can, so I used to, in social media, I'll do posts, and I'll do the lives, and I'll speak into my phone. I couldn't do that for 3 years, almost 2.5 years, because I'm not good at it anymore. And I just couldn't keep my thoughts together. So I'm back to doing that. I have confidence. You can see my confidence. That was gone. Everything was gone. My brain, just recently, my brain has all these ideas where I used to be before my concussion. And so I will stop what I'm doing. I'll grab my notebook, which is right here, and I'll put some thoughts down, and then I'll percolate for a little while, and probably the next day come back, and I will dial in the whole process of whatever that idea meant, because that's what I do. I create things. I do trainings and things like that. As of, what is today? The 23rd, the 22nd. So that was last night. I wanted to I finally got to where I can organize things again, because I don't know where any of my files are anywhere for the last 3 years. I wanted to organize something. So I decided, hey, I'll make a 4-week menu for my household. And I'm going to make, I used to do this stuff, but it's taken this long to get to where I am. So I made I have a plan. My plan is we do one week of meat, chicken, fish, and other. And so we put all those, my husband and I last night went through and figured out what we want each of those weeks to look like. And I put together the chicken list and a plan and all of that. So I just want to share with you. I love it. I think I'm going to go for the cartazine next.
That's incredible. So, Michelle, the concussion, it disabled you in terms of your quality of life, in terms of your livelihood, your job. You were in such a technical field that you couldn't comprise all those thoughts and make things happen. And so you guys, she said she started in October. That was just 3 months ago, 4 months ago. So that's some incredible changes in everything that you've explained. And by the way, thank you for giving us that detailed description of what a concussion is, right? Because there was a lot of people in the chat thanking you for that very descriptive. I'd never heard it put that way, but it makes sense, right? And I can see where it can go undiagnosed. And that's why it's such a big issue in the NFL. But Michelle, yes, try the carnosine. The carnosine loves the brain. I think you'll get amazing results. And we are definitely going to have you back in the next 3 to 6 months, because I know you're going to have had so many more improvements. And keep that humming and singing going, girl. I know that makes your heart smile, and that's huge, even though it may sound little to some people. But I understand what a big deal that is. So thank you so much for coming on.